Wig, did you just say wig? Wig, okay. I know, wig. I feel that already. Wig, okay. Wig, did you just say wig? Wig, okay. I am ready for my wig to go flying.
Ooh, hi kids.
Hello.
Hi.
It's early April edition.
When
yeah,
is this
right?
episode coming out? I mean, it'll be out. I actually don't.
Probably a few days after we're done recording. Yeah, we're on schedule.
The
We're
4th?
good.
The 4th?
Right, probably.
Maybe? The
Don't
5th?
hold me to it.
I'm not.
The kids know I've been going through it. So
Do they?
yeah,
When
just-
aren't you going through it?
yeah.
That's
Let's
your
look at my
brand.
life. I'm like 2 octaves lower today because I'm
I was gonna say you sound like very masked right now,
I
and I
know,
am feeling it.
I'm
It's very
masked.
sexy.
Oh,
I'm
thank
here
you.
for
I'm
it.
here. It's
Oh.
like your like radio host voice, you know?
I don't know what came over me, but I've been very congested, and so I am
Hey,
speaking
you
lower
sound
today.
very sexy. We appreciate it.
But I left work early today, and I had a bowl of a ramen soup from my favorite place, and then a 3-hour nap, and I feel golden right now. So you just get the golden benefits of me sounding like this. So
Sure.
I'm here for it.
anyways, I'm
Enough about
Martyr.
you.
I'm Martyr,
I'm C Tepper.
and this is
And we
it's
always
all
cut out. We
Yep.
always
Yeah,
cut
you
out,
know.
no matter what.
It happens. Caitlin, what are we doing today? Who are we doing? Who are we talking to?
Another podcaster.
Our trend of recording other podcasts, you know.
I mean, it makes sense, right?
Yeah, it does.
Why not?
Spread the love. Everyone
exactly.
loves a podcast.
Exactly.
Yes. I feel like anyone who listens to us is probably going to be familiar with the Block Talks host, Michael Block. Woo!
Hello.
Welcome,
I think so. I
Michael.
think we have a
It's
similar
probably
crossover.
it's kind of like
Mhm.
I'm assuming the same audience. We don't have much of an audience, but we appreciate the ones that listen.
Same.
All nine
I
of
like
them.
going through my statistics on my current hosting. I have to change hosting platform soon because they only can take 450 episodes, and I'm almost at 450. So I guess congrats to me, but I have to find someone else. But I have a lot of international listeners from places that I didn't know listen to podcasts, which is cool.
Like where?
Like literally you pick a country and there's at least one person listening.
That's cool. That's exciting.
Yeah.
It
I don't know how
always
they're
boggles
getting
my
it.
mind.
Yeah, it may be spam, and you know what? I'll take the spam. At least
Hell
it's a
yeah.
listen.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm here for that.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
fun.
me and Caitlin always like to look at our, I think, Spotify analytics.
At only the end of the year. We do not look like any other
Yeah.
stats because we don't have ads, so it doesn't really matter to us.
Yeah.
So we just look at it, we're like,
I think
every
we had
year.
one from Mexico this year. And we're
We
just like,
have a lot of Canadian
okay.
listeners.
Yeah, we do.
But that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Love the
Anyways.
Canadians.
So your podcast was just nominated for a Glam Award. Woo.
It was second time, second loss.
Yes,
Same.
Losers Club.
I mean, I'm honored to get another nomination. Obviously, I've got nominations in other categories for the Glam Awards. Still have not won any. I think I'm an 8-time loser, which is fine. This year when we got back to normal, I was a little upset about how they did the voting. And I made it known the second it was released. I sent a message to Cherry, and she left me on red.
What were you upset about?
That it was a public vote again. That was my only issue.
Yeah.
If I lose in a jury of my peers, I can take that. At least I know it's my peers saying you're not good enough yet. But for random people just voting and they see a drag queen from a drag race and that's the only name they know, of course the votes are going that way.
Oh yeah.
Not to take anything away from Bunny and Monet. Their show's great. It's just we're in 2 different leagues.
Well, my thing is like if it's a New York City based like event, shouldn't you live in New York City to be nominated? I know.
Shouldn't
Lady
you
Bunny,
go to
obviously.
the event also?
Oh.
we all know that Monet is bi-coastal and Lady Bunny's dead. So I don't see the issue
Yeah.
here.
I mean, we just always want to be nominated. We don't even care.
Yeah.
It is an honor to be nominated. It's an honor to dress up.
Yeah.
It's an honor to take pictures for people. It's great. It's a great time.
Exactly.
What were the other categories you've been nominated in?
I've been nominated almost every year that I've been in nightlife. Been up for best writer blogger.
Okay.
Which was again another category that was a little
Yep.
controversial this year. Literally the second that happened, me and Silvestri messaged each other like, it's musto. We know what happened. I've been nominated for best event producer once. That was during my iconic days.
Yeah.
I was nominated for best digital series last year when it was the digital awards. I think those are basically all the categories. But yeah, it's fun. It's nice to be recognized, I think, because
Mhm.
we all put in a lot of work, and
Yeah.
sometimes it feels like it can go unseen. And yeah, it's a glam award. It really doesn't mean anything. But at the end of the day, it's still the feeling of being recognized and feeling like your work means something.
We agree.
Yeah. I mean, it looks great on a CV. Let's be
Yeah,
real.
it does. It sure does.
And the thing is, people outside of like New York nightlife, like who don't like aren't a part of it, have no idea what a glam award is.
I just say I got nominated for an award, and people are like, "Oh, that's cool." So
Yeah,
That's smart. They don't
Yeah,
need to
just-
know what.
just
I
like
don't
my
know.
other award that I did win. I don't talk about the specifics of the name anymore because of who it's attached to. But that's okay. It's still an award.
Ooh.
We'll get to that later, I'm sure.
We will. I mean, I put everything down, so we'll definitely get to it. So enough about the glams. Let's talk about your podcast. How did it all begin?
So basically, my website, Theater in the Now, is in year 10. I started that 10 years ago. I wanted it to be, when I first started it, to be like the theater version of Perez Hilton. That changed very, very quickly. Like not even a month into it. It's like, fuck that. I'm not going to be a gossip columnist. I'm not here for it. I'm not drawing dicks on Patty LuPone's face.
yeah.
So I started doing interviews with some indie theater artists, and that turned into me going to review some indie theater for the Fringe Festival, New York Fringe.
I love the French.
And then I got added to like press lists, and people like, can you go review shows? It's like, I don't have experience in this, but sure, let's do it. And it just kind of cannonballed, and I got pretty big within New York theater. And it got to the point where I was interviewing people very, very regularly on the website in a print medium. And I was like, you know what? I want to expand these conversations. So I started the podcast, I think in 2015 was the first 2 episodes that I released with 2 director friends of mine. And I did it in person, live on their sets of their the theater they were directing. And it was a lot of fun. I had my first Blue Yeti microphone, and I was like, I think this is fun. And then I kind of slowed it down a little bit. My computer was having issues. I guess it's an every 5-year thing. Your Mac only lasts 5 years before you need a new one. But my computer was dying, so it was like I can't actually do a podcast because it would shut off in the middle of the recording. And I took a pause, and then I started to enter nightlife a little bit. And I was like, you know what? Let's try it again. Let's do some theater. We'll do some drag interviews, and then it kind of just exploded. Where I did a lot of interviews early on, and then I was like, you know what? I like to talk. People like to listen. Let's talk about Drag Race. There's not really a podcast doing Drag Race at that time because this is like 2017, and I was recapping Drag Race, and it kind of exploded from there. And now that's all I do is recap Drag Race, apparently, because I am committed to not missing an international season.
Oh, how?
Yeah.
How?
I don't know how you do that.
I don't know either. It's fun because I do love the culture. I do love seeing drag from different perspectives. I really am the person who will say that maybe US Drag Race is not the best series, and that y'all should go and watch these international seasons. But yeah, I just love the appreciation of drag, and I have to be give a lot of thanks to the people who support drag and nightlife, because I don't know if my podcast would have survived if I just stuck to theater, especially during the pandemic.
that goes into our next question. How was your pandemic?
Oh my God, it was terrible. I mean, no, there were positives, there were negatives. I think that is the story everyone goes through. We all learned something about ourselves. I had a very close relationship with a friend that now doesn't exist, and that was terrible. It was terrible because it was the beginning of the quarantine where I got close to this person, and then all of a sudden when things started to open up, we started to separate, and you're like, well, that closeness is gone. I lost my dad at the very beginning of 2020 with COVID, so that was rough. And then because I was like really having this trajectory in nightlife, it all stopped, and I was like, I don't know what to do. But I got to do some producing of some digital events, which really was my way of staying active within nightlife on top of the podcast. Yes, I knew most people who listen to my podcast would do it when they were getting ready for a gig or going to a gig. I knew my listenership was going to drop, so I needed to be able to have something that was going to keep me creatively fulfilled on top of the work I was doing with the podcast. So I was able to do a lot of events. Harry Grande and I produced Elation almost every month during the first year, starting in May after we did our Gaga Chromatica listening party. Yeah, we it was really a great way and my opportunity to work with people that I hadn't gotten to work with in person. And then I brought a lot of those people onto the podcast to do recaps and interviews, and everything turned out okay. Do I wish we weren't in a 2-year lockdown? Absolutely. I do know that my career would be completely different at this moment in time. Would I be in the place I am with the podcast right now? Probably not.
Before we move on from the whole podcast talk, do you have any favorite episodes or guests that you've had? I mean, you have almost 500 episodes. That's so much.
Well, I mean, I'm very much the kind of person who loves a milestone, and I've only really gotten to celebrate one big milestone for me. That was episode 200, where I was able to, thanks to the fine work of Mr. Fondior, got to interview Devin Green, who I absolutely adore. And again, she was a huge part of my quarantine because of my friend, and we would watch Welcome to My Home all the time, to the point you could quote the entire video. So Devin Green was absolutely one of the best interviews I ever got to do. But it's also really fun to be able to talk to, the Rue girls before they get on the show.
Yes.
So I had Honey Davenport and Jackie Cox in my apartment before they even made it to the show. And now, I had Honey on post show. I haven't gotten Jackie on post show, but
us either.
Yeah, she's busy.
Jackie.
But yeah, it's really kind of fun to just be able to do this trajectory of seeing people at the beginning of their careers, then later on. I'm now doing a series on the podcast called Block Talk Back, where I'm bringing people on who were basically kind of in the first 100 episodes, bringing them on, see how their lives have changed. I've had Coco Taylor and Harry Grande on, both of which have had massive life changes since they were on 2-3 years ago.
I know, they're everywhere.
Yeah. Both killing it.
So the podcast has been super successful, but for me, I'm like, oh, you just appeared. So where are you from originally?
I am from New Jersey. I was basically raised in a town called Mahwah, which I am going to be saying goodbye to soon. My mom is almost going to be selling her house. We may actually have a deal. So that's kind of sad. But I'm from New Jersey, so I've always been in the New York area. I went to school in Boston, and I loved Boston for 4 years, and I was like, that's all I need. And I was like, there's no other place for me but New York. I had to be in New York. But yeah, I am an East Coaster. I am a Northeasterner, and I think if you know me, it makes sense.
I feel like it does.
Yeah.
Why not? So how did you get into the New York nightlife scene?
So that was kind of on accident, I guess. I really was not into drag for a very long time. Shocker, I know. But my best friend, when we were roommates, we basically made a deal. We said, I will watch Drag Race if you watch Survivor. We did that swap. The first season of Drag Race I ever watched was season 8. And that I love predicting winners and everything. And I immediately was like, Bob's gonna win, because Bob was the only person I'd ever seen live before. And of course, I was like, I know Drag Race clearly.
Yeah.
So through that, I had been working again with the press release, with the press for theater, been working with Spin Cycle, and getting all their press releases and everything. And then I went back into my archives and see like what events I didn't go to. And I was like, damn, I missed a lot of the Rue girls when they were at the Beachman. So I started to go to the Beachman and reviewed all of the cabarets that the Rue girls would do when they would come through town. And through that, apparently, I guess I was a voice of nightlife that Vincent Cooper invited me to guest judge the finale of Lady Liberty season 2 and Lady Liberty season 3. And that's kind of how everything kind of exploded into me being part of nightlife. And then the 4th season is when Jim and I were weekly judges, and that's the year we crowned Rosé. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I think I have to give thanks to Vincent for, I guess, seeing something in me through my critiquing of drag cabaret. And that's really, again, it's a snowball effect. Everything in my life has been a snowball. One thing happens, people see it, and then more things happen, and then it's up to me to keep it happening.
And on that note, I think
we'll talk about more of the snowball effect after.
Yeah.
We have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we do. We'll be right back, kids. Bye.
Wig, did you just say wig? Wig, okay. I know, wig. I feel that already. Wig, okay. Wig, did you just say wig? Wig, okay. I am ready for my wig to go flying.
And we're back. Woo. Martyr got to wake up with some nice water and some scolding tea from Caitlin. I don't know what she was talking about. Anyways, over the break, she's giving me this face, but
I'm just like, why are you talking about yourself in third person?
Martyr doesn't do that. I don't know what you're talking about. Martyr doesn't do that.
Okay.
Anyways, back
that's
to our guest. Yeah, back to our guest. Michael.
Yeah.
So we kind of went into it in our first segment. That you're a editor and a critic and a writer. How does that like come to be? What inspired you to get into theater or writing about theater and such?
So I've always loved to write, but I never thought criticism was my route. I took a theater criticism class my senior year, and I absolutely hated it. Mostly because we had to like analyze criticism as opposed to actually writing about theater. And I was like, that's not what you told me we were doing here, but I still took the class because it was the head of the department, so you had to be nice and take it. But
what school were you at, by the way?
I went to Boston University.
Oh, I have been to their campus.
Yeah, I have a BFA in stage management. So I have a degree in organizing and Excel spreadsheets.
That's correct.
Me too.
Love it. But yeah, so I kind of fell into it. It wasn't something that I was planning on doing. But basically for me, I love talking about theater in a way that is constructive. And that's the way I always penned my reviews. I was not going to be the New York Times where I'm going to use SAT words that you have to look up to understand what the hell Ben Brantley is writing about. I wanted to write something that is accessible to not only an audience, but to the people I'm reviewing. So if I'm going to criticize something, I'm going to give you an idea to make it better, or what could have worked, or how to make it shape the piece to make it work. And that's how I kind of made things happen for myself, because people did respect my reviews. And yeah, when I would do my indie theater reviewing, a lot of those companies would seat me next to Ben Brantley at some shows, especially when I would go to the Flea. Like there were times I'd sit behind Brantley and be like, can I have your job, please?
Yeah.
I would do it better.
Most people would.
Yeah. So it was really a way for me to, if I'm going to be there and I'm going to critique it, I'm a theater artist as well. I don't want people to tear me down. I want to be celebrated. So let me work with you to to find the things that are going to help your production. And through all that, I was part of the drama desk for 2 years, I want to say. At that time, I was the youngest critic. A lot of those people at that time were people who
Old
didn't know how to
men.
even turn on a computer. So
Yeah.
it was contentious. There definitely was animosity, and it got to the point where I was still not a voting member, and literally they denied my third year to be a voting member because they couldn't read my website. It hurt their eyes too much, and I was like, this is not for me. If you have a problem with how this is working and you are upset that I'm able to have my own outlet, I don't want to be a part of this organization. So I was like, screw it, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
But I've gotten to review a lot of great shows. Like there was a whole year where I was able to do the entire Broadway season. When
Oh
I
my
got to
goodness.
review- yeah, when I got to review Sunset Boulevard, it happened to be the night Hillary Clinton was in the audience, and she sat 2 rows away from me. So like it really had some great opportunities being a theater critic. Do I want to go back? I would potentially do it if the timing was right and the opportunities were right. I would consider doing it because I still get press releases from companies asking me to comment. I'm like, I don't have the time or effort to put into writing right now. Which is why I kind of love having a podcast, because I can verbalize everything I'm saying. Unfortunately, when it comes to like those organizations like Drama Desk, they don't care about a podcast. They don't want to hear your verbal. They want to see what's written. But yeah, it's really a fascinating world. I definitely got to meet a lot of interesting people. A lot of theater critics are people like me who had other aspirations and kind of fell into it. I'm not going to say people failed at what they did. We just fell into it in a different way. Because I was also a playwright, and that was causing a little bit of conflict in me. Is like, how am I supposed to write for other people and not feel weird if I get criticized? Because I got one of my shows reviewed by the New York Times and got kind of destroyed a little bit, and that stung. That hurt. So I was like, let's reevaluate this whole criticism situation.
I feel like a good critic needs to also be on the receiving end too,
Absolutely.
just to like understand like what their impact is.
Absolutely. I mean, I've definitely had my fair share of seeing things posted on social media criticizing my reviews. I had one company like literally email me asking me to change my negative review, and I said, no, that's not what I'm here to do.
No, that's crazy.
It was wild.
Oh my goodness.
I'm just going on the record to say that if someone paid me enough, I would change a review.
Listen, that's a whole different story.
I'm sure they were not paying
Yeah.
you to change anything.
I know.
Yeah, exactly. That was definitely not in the cards.
I'm sure there was no money involved. They're just mad.
Yeah, that's weird. That's
But there definitely have been times where there have been press people who have paid me to go to their shows to review because they weren't getting people to come.
Mhm.
And it was always in the understanding, I'm going to review this as I would review any other show. Do not expect a glowing review if it's not glowing.
That's good. That's how it
Yeah.
should be.
Yeah.
That's fair.
That's fair.
I think as a theater goer, we need theater critics. It helps you, because there's a lot of shows. It helps you figure out what you think your time is worth.
Absolutely.
I certainly read a lot of criticism. Switching from theater to producing nightlife, which is a weird transition, but we're gonna get into it. So you've produced all over, including Club Coming, Icon, Rock Bar, Stonewall. What shows have you produced, and like what have you learned from all that?
You may know me from I guess the biggest thing people would know me from was Iconic. It was at the time of recording 3 seasons. Who knows? Maybe we'll return. I don't know. There's a lot of factors for us to return, including speaking with Icon to make it happen. But Iconic was basically the biggest thing that I had done. It was a long form competition at Icon. Our 3 winners, Nicole Noscopy, Audrey Phoenix, and Jax, all doing pretty damn well for themselves right now. So that was my big show. Through that, I was invited by Club Cumming to do a cabaret style competition, which was Drag Race Star. Unfortunately, we never finished that season because of COVID. And as much as people would have loved to have the digital version of it, the whole point of that show was to have a cabaret and to work with a pianist and have the live vocals there. It was not going to work in the digital format. Would I love to be able to do that again? Of course, because it was a really it was a special show, and we had some really incredible artists through that, and it was amazing working with Lauren Order as our host, because she's very underrated. She doesn't get the love that she deserves in New York nightlife. And then I was working at Rock Bar and producing a bunch of fundraisers with them when Coco Taylor and Colonoscopy were Miss Rock Bar. So we did like Rock Bar Goes Broadway, Rock Bar Goes Country, those kinds of fun things. But even when I was doing the digital events, a lot of my events would be attached to some sort of charity or organization that we would give money back to, because it's important as an artist to be able to give back. And especially as a white male, when I was doing the digital stuff, I just didn't feel comfortable not giving back to organizations that needed it. So yeah, would I say that I am a producer who makes money? No, not right now. Maybe in the future, but yeah, those are basically my fun producerial credits at the moment.
Do you want to go back in producing at all, or?
Absolutely. When I am in full 100% health, I will be back. People will know that I am back. I have ideas. I have lots of ideas. I really want to do, and I've put it out there into the universe, I want to do High School Dragsicle. I'm not committing to putting all three into one. I'm going to shoot my load.
That'd be a lot.
I think I want to do 1, 2, and 3. So we'll start with the first one. Maybe we'll have an Olivia Rodrigo cameo. I don't know. We'll see. We'll play around with it. But yeah, I want to get back into it. I miss it. I really miss the behind the scenes spotlight. I'm not someone who likes to be seen. I have a podcast for a reason. I like to make other people have their moments, and that's what producing for me is a big part of it. Yeah, I want to get back. I need to get back.
We've had a lot of contestants on from Iconic, and they really
yeah
it.
Yeah, it really is an opportunity to really get to know yourself and push yourself. Yeah, I guarantee you every single person who has been in Iconic will say at least 1 week of their time they hated me. They never wanted to talk to me again, and that I was the biggest motherfucking asshole they'd ever met. But
why? What'd you do?
Because I was a judge. I was a judge. And I was honest,
you were judging.
I was judging as well.
Okay,
and,
I got you.
And I gave it to him. But at the end of the day, I think it really was an opportunity to be seen on that incredible stage. Like, not gonna lie, there's not many stages in New York as incredible as the Icon stage.
Agreed. It's a good one.
Everyone we've talked to seem to like look upon that like time in their drag career as like they're very nostalgic for it. They've really like learned a lot and like really loved it. So
yeah, I mean, like, who knows if it continued on and COVID didn't happen? You know what? Maybe it could have been the second coming of So You Think You Can Drag. Who the hell knows? But we just
I miss So You Think You Can Drag. So
do I.
So please, we should bring it back.
I have mentioned it to Paige before, and
I don't think Paige is gonna do it.
No, she is done.
She's done with
happy.
She's not even here anymore half the time.
I know. But no, I think it would be great to come back. I think drag competitions are important as long as they're done properly.
Yes, I agree. I think it just has to be produced right.
Which ones are not produced right? Let's name them.
Let's talk about.
I think you know more than me.
Yeah, let's. You know what? Is there a paywall? That podcast is behind the paywall.
Oh lordy! Oh my god! Okay.
We're already canceled. Let me even talk about anybody. So when it comes to theater, you've worked on Broadway and off Broadway, and as a playwright and a producer and a director and a stage manager. how do you like kind of differentiate yourself in all these roles?
So many hats, yeah.
Well, I think being a stage manager is why I'm able to do everything,
Mhm.
because as a stage manager, you literally have to speak all the languages of theater. You have to
Mm.
be able to communicate with an actor and a director and a designer and a producer and everyone in between. So learning those hats and learning those skill sets, that is why I was able to branch out into those other areas. But it is absolutely the most thankless job you'll ever have. Um, if people even know a stage manager exists, that's a good sign.
That's true.
But if you don't know a stage manager exists, that means they did their job right.
That's right.
Um, but yeah, it's really a great way to still feel creative because you get to work on all these aspects. And through all that, like I think there was one off-Broadway show where we unfortunately lost an actress due to a mini stroke. As the stage manager, had to bring in another actress within 3 days and put her into the show because we were already running the show. And that really tested my directorial skills. And it was one of the best opportunities I've ever had. I mean, I remember our official opening night, the actress gave me a box of cheese sticks because that's what she gives as gifts, and wrote on the back of it, said, "You're the best stage manager I ever worked with."
Wow.
And that always stuck with me. That kind of thing was important. So I was like, if I can do that kind of thing, let me direct on my own. I directed a couple little short things. But playwriting was really my opportunity to share my voice and my views. When I first started, I had basically a play a month either produced or read in New York.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really amazing. You would only know it because I was under the name Michael Bradley, so you have to search that for
Oh,
my
okay.
work. But yeah, I love writing. I love creating characters. I just adore it, and I kind of missed it, but after my musical experience, I'm kind of still
Retired.
traumatized. Yeah, I'm still a little traumatized from that experience.
Do you think you'll ever go back to playwriting?
If I have time, I think I would. I mean, there are definitely, if you look at the notes on my phone, the notes app, there are lots of ideas. There are voices in my head ready to be put on the page. I just have the timing has to be right. The timing really has to be right. I had one play that I had done called Pageant Tales and Beauty Fails that I was done at Theater for the New City. I think it was 2016, and it was about a fictional beauty pageant. Super fun. And I had a friend who was like, "You should redo it, even as a reading, but with drag queens." And
Yes.
and it's been, again, was going to happen if COVID didn't happen.
Okay.
I think I need one of those nights where people are like, "Yeah, you're a good writer." I need the validation again to get myself back into the writing scene.
Writing's hard.
It is hard.
Yeah.
It's fun though. It's cathartic.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get back into it, so I feel your pain. I've been trying to get back into a lot of creative process, so I feel your pain.
Yeah. I have
Pandemic's not fun.
I have
Yeah.
very similar background to you, Michael. So I definitely know what it's like.
Yeah.
Oof.
So we were talking about awards a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
You won the KSF award grant for lyric
Yes.
and book writing.
Mhm.
You wrote a musical.
I did write a musical.
Okay, you pronounce it. I don't want to mess this up.
So it's the Gory All Girls String Band. It is inspired by a true story in the 1930s and 40s in Texas, and the Gory State Farm, which was a all women's penitentiary. A group of women decided to start a band and get on the radio to get pardoned, and they all did. And then they went into oblivion, and you never heard from them again. So that was what this musical is about. And through that, I was able to win the what is known at that time as the Kevin Spacey Foundation Award. It was a $10,000 grant that went to our musical. And it really helped us get that musical off and running. It was part of the New York Musical Theater Festival. We it was really an incredible opportunity because through that process, we had multiple readings. We had a concert at 54 Below. That concert featured the likes of Lauren Patton, Bonnie Milligan, and Michael Cerveris. So like
Oh my
these people read my
goodness.
work. Like we literally
Dang.
wrote a song for Michael Cerveris for this concert.
Who
So
is now also canceled.
you see why? What happened now?
What did something new happen?
I don't know. I don't know, Michael. I don't know.
I thought he got canceled. He got
I'll have to
canceled a
find out.
while ago. It's
But
not that
yeah, it
important.
was a really great opportunity to write a musical. Because I don't have the musical chops to write, but I had a writing partner who we no longer talk. So that was why that musical's dead. But he was able to really help find the voice and the sound of the show, and that's what made the show so special. Because in the production, all the actors play their own instruments, and it was all string instruments, and it was so much fun. It was really, really cool, and yeah, I miss it. But the time again, timing is everything, and there was a lot of criticism of why is a straight white boy or a gay white boy writing a musical about women, and I was like, if I'm going to be put up against this every single time I present this musical, is this the musical I really want to be presenting?
Okay. I don't really understand that point of view.
Well, my director at the time wanted to bring in another book writer who was female, just to have a female book writer on the team. I was like, I can't. That's.
But musicals especially have always usually been written by white men.
You would think, but that tide is turning a little bit, and that's okay.
Which is, I'm fine with that tide turning,
Yeah.
but like that is the tradition of musical theater,
of course. So, one day maybe it'll come back. We'll see. I know when we were writing it, like there was supposed to be a movie version by Jennifer Aniston's movie company. It never happened. Wow. But it's an incredible story.
I hope they bring it back.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'll go see it. I love musicals.
I need to go see another one.
Well, speaking of that, it leads us to our next question.
It does.
What are some of your favorite musicals or Broadway plays?
It's crazy to think that I, on a given basis, depending on my mood, will change the answer to that because I just love musical theater so much. I think that I will always have a love for Candor and Ebb. So Chicago Cabaret are definitely going to be in my top spots. As I was finding myself, Spring Awakening was my musical.
Oh, me too. That's my favorite musical.
I was an intern in New York working in the theater company, and that summer we would literally do student rush for anytime a new actor would be in a role. I think I saw that show 7 times that summer.
Yeah, I saw that show probably 4 or 5.
So I adore Spring Awakening. But for me, I just love anything that's fun and makes you want to just smile. Yeah, I think those are probably my absolute favorites. I will say 6 is brilliant.
I really want to see it.
It was the last one I've seen, and I would love to go see it again with the new cast members. That's again the beauty of that show is it's written in a way where anyone could do it, and you'll still have the same effect.
It's still fresh.
Yeah,
because I'm very picky. Like if it's really not the original cast, I don't know. It gets a little stale. I feel like with a lot of shows.
I saw my first musical since moving here. I've seen Broadway.
Martyr is not from here. Everyone.
I know, right? I've seen Broadway musicals on Broadway before I moved here, but this is the first one that I did really like. I live here. I need to go see one, and it was Little Shop of Horrors, which is my favorite movie. So like, that show was so good too. But she's my favorite.
Yeah, I haven't seen this production, but when City Center did their summer like little week-long revival thing with Jake Gyllenhaal and Ellen Green, I was like, I will be there because that is Cougar City.
Oh,
that is the weirdest casting. Oh, it was great. He's brilliant. He's a really good.
I've heard he's so good. You know he's canceled too, but I heard he's great.
Yeah, very, very talented. But yeah, it was really hard to believe that as a couple. It just didn't make sense.
It's Ellen Green though.
Right, which is why you go to hear her sing it, but then when you go to the acting part, you're like, do I believe this? I don't know.
Fair. I gotcha. That kind of leads me into my next question. which is kind of a surprise for Caitlin.
It is a surprise. I don't know
Yeah.
what this is.
Um, because on our when you interviewed me, Michael, on your podcast, we got to talk about it a little bit. But you have a fondness for Disney and the theme parks, and so does someone
Okay.
else in this podcast.
I sure
yeah,
darn do.
Do we have to make an announcement?
yes, we do.
Okay, we have to
I
make an
ju-
announcement.
I just yeah, we're all well. I'm a closeted Disney gay. Caitlin's not closeted about it.
I'm not closeted,
But
but I'm a Disney gay.
yeah, Caitlin's a Disney gay. But what started that love? And I believe you mentioned you had a dream of being like a Disney park blogger. And
Oh, yeah.
is there any news on that since we talked?
Oh yeah. So as of the time of recording, I'm hopefully still going to be going to Disney in May.
Mhm.
Oh,
yeah.
cute. Where? All the parks?
Oh, all the parks. I mean,
Okay, gotcha.
we have a reservation. We're a Disney Vacation Club members, so we
Oh,
have,
okay. Where do you stay?
the boardwalk.
Okay.
So we have 8 days at the boardwalk. We're ready to go. I got my 60-day advanced dining reservations all set, even though there was
So lucky.
even though there was I got up at 5:30, got everything ready. I was ready with my tea, and then all of a sudden I had a little snafu where when we made the reservation, they didn't put me on the reservation, so it didn't link up properly. So for a half hour at 6 o'clock, once the reservations opened, I couldn't get any of the reservations. I was screaming, literally crying, and then I got it, but I got all the big reservations.
Oh,
And
you're so lucky.
You know what I did as well? You know what I did? I said, fuck everybody else. I'm going to have 2 dining options for dinner the nights that we're doing dinner. And we'll just cancel one. And then someone
else can get it. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm very excited. I got Oga's Cantina. I'm going to be our guest. I got them all. I got them all. But hopefully that trip will, I'm going to potentially do some filming. And we'll see if that is going to lead to anything. But what it will definitely lead to is once I get to ride all the new rides that I haven't done in 9 years. So one of my podcasts that I do on Block Talk is Make Mike Watch, where people come on and watch a movie with me that I've never seen before, and then I'll do my commentary. We're going to do Make Mike Ride, and we're going to talk about the rides, and we're going to talk about the history of them and all the funness. I just love Disney so much. I know it's a very controversial take at this moment.
We know.
I will support it. I know they've already come out yet again to say that they are determined to get the Don't Say Gay bill to be reversed, and I'm going to take it at their word, and I'm going to say that they're going to do it, and that's all I can hope for. Other people can get upset and say it's not going to be a thing and cancel me for it. I just love Disney that much.
Me too. I was there last month.
Oh, I'm so jealous. I haven't been in 9 years, and I was supposed to go last year, but I had my little back and nerve issue, so I literally couldn't walk the park. So I was like, we're going to cancel it. Then I was supposed to go in December, still was not better. But May, we're doing it. We're making it happen.
Yay. I haven't been in 5 years, but I also haven't been to Florida in 5 years. I'm at peace with that.
But you will be going back soon.
Oh yeah, someone on the podcast is getting married
At Disney.
at Disney.
Hey.
So
Oh, that's fun. That's exciting.
Yeah, we're going to Epcot.
Caitlin's the only reason why I'd step foot in Florida again. So
You know, it's a great reason.
yeah. And then to close off our little segment, I don't think we got to talk about it at all. I'm blanking on the name, but I believe it was at Theater 365 where you went to a show once.
Drags 365.
Drag 365. Yeah. Tell us about that.
So basically, I think this was 2018 when I did it. I'm trying to find my footing in nightlife. And I was like, I'm going to go see a drag show every single day, aka just 365 shows, not every single day. I'll see multiple shows in a day.
Oh, okay.
I can pull that one off.
Yeah, that's doable.
And yeah, it was a really fun experience because that's, again, another way I was able to get my footing into nightlife and meet a lot of incredible artists that I still call friends. But what I would do is I would take pictures. For a while I was putting it onto the website and doing like mini reviews, and then it got to the point where I got backed up. I was like, it's not worth it. But for that period of time, there were a lot of people who would share the photos on Instagram because that's what you would do. Because I don't take artistic photos like that anymore. But it was a really great way to just be able to share what's going on in nightlife in a way that Jim was kind of doing through telling you what was there and I was showing you. And I remember when I interviewed Brenda Darling on my podcast, she told me that it was through me doing the Drag 365 that she was able to see who else is coming up in the scene because she didn't have time to go out. Like when she was working every night and when she would have a night off, she was staying home.
Yeah.
And that was her way of seeing what's out there and getting to meet people. And I was starting to do it in 2020. I had like a new Instagram ready to go and for it as well. And then again, COVID put a massive halt to that. But yeah, it was a really, really fun opportunity to get to go out. And it got controversial at times when I heard people were bitching that I didn't go to their shows enough. I'm like, you want me to come? You tell me to come. Otherwise, I'm going to work on my schedule. And if you're there, great.
Exactly.
That's so crazy. Are they paying you to be there? Like what?
Like, fine, give me a drink. Buy
Get free drinks.
give me tater tots at the West End. Like, fine, I'll come to your show. But yeah, entice me to come.
Yeah.
May the West End rest in peace.
Forever.
And on that note, I think we should take our final little break and we'll be back with our usual little wrap up. All right. Bye, kids.
Wig, okay. I know, wig. I feel that already. Wig, okay. Wig, did you just say wig? Wig, okay. I am ready.
And we're back.
We're back.
Yay.
I love little breaks. Anyways, it's my least favorite question. Caitlin's favorite question.
Well, so it's kind of a slightly different version because Michael
Sure.
doesn't do drag.
Yeah. Unless they want to share something on the podcast that we are not aware
That
of.
we don't know about any announcement.
Nope, not happening yet. Listen, I have not even determined. Like, I've created a show in my mind if I were to do a one night only, because I've definitely been tested before where people are like, well, how can you judge if you don't do drag? I'm like, I don't sing and dance. How am I still be able to be a critic? That rule doesn't matter.
No.
But I was like, you know what? Maybe if just for the hell of it, I'll have to do a one night only and do a night of drag. I said I would open with Pulled from the Addams Family musical, end with You'll Be Back from Hamilton because there's the story.
Yeah.
Because then it's open ended. If it goes well, I can still do it. But I'm not going to do it. I literally have to. There has to be a reason for me to do it, and people would have to confirm they would attend. Otherwise, it would never happen. But nope, no drag for me. I don't even have a name yet.
No name queen. Love that.
Actually, there's one name that I always do stick to. Beverly Ridge. You can call her Beverage.
Oh
my god.
Okay. That made me chuckle. Okay. That one works.
Martyr's a fan.
Yeah. Anyways, not our question that I usually ask, but here we go. What are your thoughts on the current season of Drag Race, and who do you think is going to be on the next season from New York?
Oh boy. Okay, let's start with the current thoughts.
Yeah.
It's, you know what, everyone's saying it's long. It's not long. It's same as last year. We just did all the non-eliminations at the beginning and we got to know everybody. We're just putting them in the middle and it's not feeling great. I think what's exciting about this season is the cast is made up of people who were not on all of the wish lists. We have people who are actually real drag artists who are hustling that got onto the show, and the show is realizing, wow, we can make stars out of quote unquote no names. And that's what makes this season so special. I'm really enjoying it because it gives hope for people to get on the show. And yeah, if you are a big name or a legacy, there you can still get on. Tina Burr got on, and that's incredible. And there's still a chance for that to happen. But if you are a queen who is still doing guest spots, but you're going to be good TV, you got that chance as well. Who do I think is going to win? I think it's down to 3 people.
Yeah.
I think it is down to Lady Camden, Angeria, and Willow Pill. Rue loves the Brits. Lady Camden is exactly what Rue loves in a drag artist. She is someone I would go see in a heartbeat. In fact, I featured her on the website when I went to DragCon in 2019. So that's fun. So I'm a little biased in that part. Angeria is just a delight of a human. Really personifies that old school drag in a young person's body. But then you have Willow Pill, who the show is not having to force a story to us, but we're all loving the story. And I think Willow has a really great perspective on drag. It's a unique perspective on drag. And if ever there was a season where I say Drag Race deserves the Emmys, it's this one. I'm really excited by what Willow could bring as a winner to the franchise. But we'll see. Stranger things have happened. Now that the chocolate bar is out of contention, is Bosco a contender? I don't know. It will. If Bosco were to win, there would be a massive asterisk on the season because technically she was eliminated.
I don't think
Doesn't
that's
matter.
ever stopped Drag Race before.
Exactly. Doesn't matter. I don't know. As I said on
don't
my
think so.
podcast, when it comes to Survivor, it took, I think, 38 seasons before someone who was eliminated came back and won the show. It could happen. It's not out of bounds, but that's what I think is also exciting about this season is there are so many contenders. There are so many ways the season can end, and it's not a for-sure season. But I think I would be happy with everyone but Deja Sky. I call her Deja Sky.
Oh,
I can't do it. I can't do it.
But she had her own episode.
Yeah, she sat back and watched Drag Race like we watched Drag Race.
That's true.
The ultimate, what's it called? The pit stop queen.
So obviously you're like us and you interview a lot of queens. Who do you think will get on from New York for season 15?
I am waiting for the day that Pixie Aventura gets on Drag Race because not only is she one of the most well-versed drag artists in New York City, she will give you good TV. She's not going to take shit, and she don't have to because she is that good. I would love to see her on. I mean, she doesn't go here anymore, but I have a bias toward Nicole Nosky. I would love to see her on. Does her story lend itself to get onto the show now? Perhaps, because she was the New York girl who went home for COVID, and now you have her becoming a big star. I got the producer mind. I always have to have that when I think of who's going to be on the show. But yeah, there are a lot of young drag artists out there who I think could absolutely slay it from New York. Like, again, if we're going to go in the world of legacy, sure, we could possibly see someone like Tsunami or Janelle number 5 get on and do pretty well. But it was kind of exciting to see Jasmine get on where you're like, what? Her? That's our pick? And then look what she did. She was great television. Yeah, I think no matter who you pull from New York, you're always going to get someone good.
Yeah.
There are no boogers in New York.
Questionable. You have Martyr right here.
Well,
Exactly.
So there's been, this is not a question, but there's just been a lot of rumors about who's been getting calls lately. So I've heard
them. I've heard some, and one of them that people keep telling me, I'm like, no, that's impossible.
The thing is, every year they say that, and whoever I get told, they're never on, so it's all a lie.
we'll cross-reference after the recording.
Yeah, 100%. Because I got some tea today, but I'm like, every year people tell me stuff, and it's never true.
Exactly.
I don't believe anybody until the Reddit list comes out.
I just heard that Reefy Royalty is hosting Drag Race Bosnia, so I'm really excited about that.
Reefy and his dumb jokes.
Listen, I've already put it out there. I would love to host Drag Race Scandinavia. Mostly because I just want a blonde twink, and that's the closest.
Oh my god!
No. Come on, imagine that pit crew, all blonde twinks. There it is.
Or the Netherlands.
Oh my god!
Caitlin,
next question. Caitlin, next question.
Okay. So, do you have any upcoming projects to promote? Go crazy.
All right. Well, I mean, we're getting close to episode 500 of Block Talk, and I'm very, very excited. I don't have anyone locked in quite yet. There's a couple options out there, but I put it into the universe. I want a name. I want someone big, and we'll see what happens. No promises yet, but yeah, for now, we're just gonna continue Block Talk and expanding the way I have been. Hopefully, with my trip to Disney, I'll be able to continue adding more Disney content, adding more Marvel content, because that went really, really well when I added Marvel to the mix. And basically, I'm easy. If you tell me you want to hear about something on the podcast, I'll make it happen. That's the good thing about being a one-man show, is you can do whatever you want on your own schedule. So I'm fortunate in that respect. But yeah, right now that's all we got going.
That's enough for me. That's a lot.
Yeah.
How often does your podcast come out? Once a week?
Sure. No, it's literally this week I've released 5 episodes.
Oh my
Christ.
goodness. Oh, because I know a lot of them are
yeah.
recap episodes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so I had released a Drag Race season 14 episode, Drag Race España. I released a Survivor recap. I released a today, actually, my interview with Jax.
Yes.
And then this year I started the Pop 5 weekly wrap up, where every Saturday I have a little panel come on and we talk about 5 pop culture topics, things, headlines. This week's going to be absolutely insane.
I wonder what
Oscars.
you could be talking about.
Yeah, so I'm very excited for that that one. But yeah, because the listeners have become diverse in that way, where I do have people who don't watch Survivor, but they would watch Drag Race, or they don't watch Drag Race, they watch Survivor. So I want to be able to cater to everybody. So yeah, there's always lots of content, and for everyone who does listen to all the episodes and is up to date, thank you. I appreciate you.
That's a lot of work.
It
We
really
can
is.
barely do like twice a month.
Yeah, it's a lot of
Yeah.
work, but again, it's this newfound passion that I've realized. I'm pretty decent at it.
I agree. That's why
Okay.
you're here. So what's the best advice you've ever been given about producing theater and or podcasting?
Oh, that's a good question. I think the best advice is don't give up. You when you give up, it's not going to happen. My mom is someone who loves to give quotes and lives by the quotes. And everything happens for a reason, and that's what she lives by, and that's what I live by as well. But you if something's not right, then you make it right. You make it happen for yourself. And I feel like while I have changed many facets of what I do, I'm still doing it, and I haven't given up the dream. And yeah, maybe in a couple years I'll sell out, and you'll find me at H&M selling what Joe Black was wearing. I don't know. You never know. Maybe I'll sell out that way. But right now, I am very fortunate and very lucky to be in the position that I am, that I have been able to follow my dreams since I was a kid. And I have to thank my parents for that. And I have to thank all of the people who have supported me. So my advice is just don't give up.
You hear that, Martyr? Don't give it up.
Man, I was gonna give up tonight. Shit.
You gave up 5 minutes ago.
I did. Fuck. Thank you, Michael. You brought me back to life.
That's what I'm here for.
Oh, it's my question.
Yeah, it's
My
your
favorite
question. It's your moment.
Favorite question. Mix Michael.
Thanks, Michael.
Mix Michael.
Okay.
Can you tell us a tantalizing tale of a dramatic, suspenseful, crazy moment that you've either experienced, had a part in, heard in nightlife?
Yeah. So obviously I got a warning on this one, and I had to think about it, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to say. And then I was like, oh, I have the story. Of course you have the story. I don't think this person is going to listen to the podcast, but I'm not going to use their name.
Okay.
There are people in my circle of friends who know exactly what this incident was. We're going to go back to 2019, and it was a very long day. I was covering all of DragCon, and it was Saturday, and it was my time to go over to Bushwick to cover Bushwick for the podcast and everything. With my press credentials, I was able to go backstage and hang out and kiki with everybody, and just, if I wanted to watch the show and take pictures, I could, but you know, Bushwick gets packed. Everyone's there.
Chaos.
You can't get anywhere. So I was in the green room, and a performer had just gotten there, and they were slated to go on very soon, but they had to use the restroom. Now, for those who don't know the Knockdown Center, the green room and the restrooms are not in the same area.
Nope.
And at that time, around 9:30, the place was packed.
Mm-hmm.
You could not get to the bathroom and on stage in the amount of time. And this person really needed to pee. And they found a bottle, and they begged me to hold it as they peed on the outside staircase. And that was it. And it was a great moment. And it was a bonding moment. I think our relationship will never be the same. But it was great. It was a moment I will never forget. Because that's sisterhood. You
That's
do
right.
what you gotta do.
I guess
And
so.
you know what? I think, as crazy as the story was, we all have kind of crazy stories like that when nightlife. And I'm sure that's not even a crazy story to some.
For this show, no.
But it was really, again, it's Bushwick. That probably happened on stage.
I was waiting for them to pee in the audience.
Right. I've seen fisting on stage at Bushwick. That was nothing, but it was
That
really
was a good day.
yeah. it was really a bonding experience, and it was a moment that I didn't expect to happen, but it happened, and it stuck with me for a good reason. And that person's doing great now, and I have nothing but respect for them, and they're an incredible performer and an incredible human, and yeah. You gotta pee. If you gotta pee, you gotta pee. And what's more important, getting to the bathrooms at Knockdown Center or performing is going to take precedence, and you're going to do what you got to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would just pee during my performance if I was a true Bushwick queen. I'm just
Wasn't
saying.
necessarily on
They're
brand
not
for
allowed
them.
to, though, right?
That hasn't stopped girls before.
I know they're really strict now.
Yes, you have to be, but that would be the wildest story. I mean, I've definitely been in rooms where I've seen fights happen and
Oh yeah.
all that jazz, but no, this was the first-hand experience for me, at least.
And you'll never forget Azalea Banks.
I was in the 212. Anyways, Caitlin, close us off with our
Okay, our
final
last question. What are your future nightlife plans and goals?
I think we're getting back to what I said earlier. I want to get back into producing. If Iconic can come back, I would love for that to come back, because at least it's the footing that I had and people recognize it. If I have to bring it back somewhere else, sure, we can do it. But I also want to get back into producing and celebrating the art form that I really love discussing. Maybe I'll be able to do another Block Talk Live again somewhere, because that was always a journey. But yeah, I want to get back to what I was doing and bringing and marrying the podcast with actual live shows. So we'll see what we can do.
We've talked about that ourselves, but I know we will never do it because we're lazy.
We are lazy.
We're very lazy. We barely get this podcast done.
Yeah.
It was a fun time. I've done 3, I think. The first time, the audio was the worst because I had no help. Second time was great, and that was a very juicy episode. And the third time was also kind of juicy, but I did that at Icon, so it was it had the terrible AC system in the entire video and audio, so there was that.
The struggle's real with that.
The struggle is real. We all can't be race chasers.
Nope. We don't got that money.
Nope.
Wow.
Not yet. You never know.
Never know. with their ad revenue.
I know, right?
Hey, you never know.
Um,
Chiffon Dior might hit the mega millions and give you all the ads you need.
She should. I just saw her 2 days ago.
I was about to say, Miss Chiffon, we're ready.
I know where you live.
Michael, thank you so much for joining us on our podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, anytime.
I feel like I learned a lot.
Yeah.
I'm glad. I'm definitely one of those people where people know me, but they don't really know me.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Mhm.
letting me share my story.
Yeah. That's
course.
what we like to do.
Where can the kids find you on the internet?
You can find me on Michael Block Talk on Instagram, Block Talk NYC on Twitter, which I never use. You can also find me on buymeacoffee.com/Block Talk if you want to give a little tip to me and support the podcast. That's basically it. You can find me on Grindr and Scruff and all those fun apps too. I love chatting.
And on that note, thank you again, babe. I'm Martyr,
I'm C Tepper.
and this was see you in 2 weeks. Bye, kids.
Okay, bye.
I'm C Tepper. You can follow me on Instagram at CTEPPER and read my book, The State of Drag, where I interviewed 175 drag queens from around the world. All proceeds go to charity on Amazon.com.
Ooh, I love that. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Drag the Martyr. And if you have any thoughts, comments, dick pics, send them to dragthemartyr@gmail.com.
Listen, rate, and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Play, and Pandora.
And catch up with past episodes on WERRRK.com. That's WERRRK.com. Artwork for Wigging Out was provided by Glitter Baby Online. That's Glitter Baby Online. Thank you.